Vertigo and dizzy spells can be very different, but for a lot of people, vertigo can just be a more magnified version of dizzy spells. And the underlying cause that can create this can really vary greatly from person to person. And some of those issues can be more serious, like maybe there's spinal cord issues or head issues or ear issues that are creating the problem that can be significant. But there can also be some underlying causes that may not be as problematic, but to the person experiencing the symptom, they can be just as concerning. If you're like, oh, why am I in a blender right now? Or just have the house hold still for a minute. This can feel very concerning, almost like I'm pretty sure we need to go to the hospital right now, at least to see, is the hospital spinning? Is it the house? Is the house the problem? So in this video, I want to help you understand the most common causes for these issues and steps you can take to turn them around. Let's jump in.
TC Hale is not a doctor and does not claim to be a doctor or licensed in any type of medical field. Don't be an idiot and use anything heard on the show as medical advice. This information should be used for educational purposes only, and you should contact your doctor for any medical advice. Now get off me.
So I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving you medical advice here, and by the end of this video, you're going to understand that it would be impossible for me to know what's creating the problem for you. If you're looking for remedies for dizzy spells, you're going to be looking for a long time. You have a 10 to 15% chance of a remedy working or creating any improvement for you because there's a variety of underlying causes. So if one person is taking a remedy that happens to improve the underlying cause that's creating the dizzy spells for them, somebody else could take that same remedy and make their situation worse if there's something else causing the problem for them. So we really want to start to look at the person instead of just the symptom. But we want to understand the most common causes so then we can look at our body and see what's going on, what's most likely the issue with us. So a very common cause is this BPPV, or benign paroxysmal positional vertigo. And basically this is a problem where we have these crystals in our ear. They're basically made of calcium and such, and they should be in the ear, it's all fine, but they can get displaced and moved around, and if they go to the wrong location, it can create a lot of dizziness or vertigo type issues. So there's this thing called the Epley maneuver, and I'm going to put some links in the description below so you can understand this a little bit better. But you can have a health professional basically maneuver your head around to move these crystals to the correct location and see almost immediate improvement. I've heard from clients that just thought it was a miraculous situation, that all of a sudden everything is okay. And I'm going to put another link to a video that kind of shows you how this maneuver allows these crystals to move around. It's a good animation that I just found on YouTube that you can see. And I've also heard from clients that learned how to do this maneuver on their own so that they can fix it when it comes about. But you hear from a lot of people that you really want to have a health professional help you learn how to do this. A lot of chiropractors know how to do this, but other types of professionals can help you do this as well. But if this is the problem for you, then this maneuver can really get the world to finally hold still for a few minutes. Now, the most common cause that we see is what appears to be low minerals in the system. So a lot of minerals in our body help the body function the way that it's supposed to function. And an interesting thing about minerals is that the body can use them to send signals through from the body to the brain and from the brain back to the body. And when there's not enough minerals there, then those signals can't travel correctly and signals will get dropped, and that can create like a disorientation for a lot of people that results in this dizziness or vertigo type like issue. So what you can do at home is you can just look at your blood pressure. You can pick up a blood pressure cuff at any pharmacy for $30 or $40, and you want to look at your blood pressure at least 2 hours after a meal, but not first thing in the morning. It shouldn't be fasted. It should be after a meal. And then just check your resting blood pressure, and if that systolic number, which is the top number, if that's below 112, that can be a strong sign that there isn't enough minerals in the system. This is not diagnostic. There's other things that can kind of dictate where our blood pressure is. Things like if blood sugar is high, that can thicken up the blood and raise our blood pressure. If we're not detoxing correctly, all this filth and junk can thicken it up. So it can be a little misleading when you look at your blood pressure, but if it's really low like that, that's a really strong sign that minerals are likely low in the system, and that can create that disorientation. Now, there's a variety of issues that can make minerals go low, but the most common problem that we see are digestive malfunctions. Maybe someone is not making enough stomach acid to really break their food down correctly, or maybe their bile is not flowing well enough to help neutralize those acids and really help break the food apart so that we can get all the minerals and nutrients out of that food. All those things are very common to see. So if you're dealing with any digestive symptoms at all, like burping or bloating or constipation or diarrhea or acid reflux or nausea or indigestion, or maybe food just kind of feels like it sits there like a rock in your stomach for 6 hours, or even acne or skin issues, all of those can be signs that digestion is not working correctly. So if you're dealing with dizzy spells and you're having digestive symptoms, you really want to take steps to improve that digestive function so you can bring more minerals into the system. And if you need help figuring out digestive stuff, my book, Kick Your Fat in the Nuts, chapters 3 and 4, walk you through figuring out which aspects of digestion may not be working correctly and what steps you can take to improve those. And the book is available on Amazon, but I'm going to put a link in the description below so you can get the whole thing totally for free, and that'll walk you through that process. And another issue that can make minerals go low is somebody peeing out too many minerals. And if they're peeing out as much as the body is bringing it in, it can still keep those minerals low. And there's a variety of things that can cause someone to pee out too many minerals. But an interesting thing that we see very common with these dizzy spell and vertigo issues is hypoglycemia. So remember, when those minerals go low, it's hard for all those signals to travel correctly. But what's interesting about the body is that when minerals go very low, they can be buffered if sugars are high enough. So the same goes the other way. If sugars go very low, they can be buffered by minerals that are high enough, and the body can still function correctly. It's when both minerals and blood sugar both go low at the same time that we see a lot of significant problems. And if someone's dealing with hypoglycemic type issues where they're processing their glucose a little bit too aggressively, it's almost like their insulin is a bully and it's just sweeping out this glucose too quickly, then it can make those sugar crashes that can really magnify a lot of these issues and a lot of other symptoms. And what's interesting, when insulin is acting like a bully and somebody's dealing with these hypoglycemic issues, then they don't need to make very much insulin to process the carbohydrates that they're consuming. Since the insulin is kind of overworking, only a small amount needs to be produced to process the carbohydrates that they're consuming. So what that does is that can keep insulin low for some of these folks. And it seems to be that when insulin goes very low, that some people will pee out more minerals. That's why we see a lot of these problems with people that are doing a ketogenic diet or a carnivore diet, where they're keeping insulin very low, which can be very beneficial for a lot of things. But if an individual already has very low mineral levels, then it can cause them to pee out even more and really create some symptoms. And that's why we like people to look at their body chemistry to really succeed on a keto and carnivore diet. It's not that those diets are bad, it's that they can cause problems for the wrong person if the person doesn't know how to correct those. But that helps us understand why this could be magnified. Maybe somebody already has low blood pressure and then they also have hypoglycemic issues that's causing insulin to go very low and causing them to pee out even more minerals. It can really magnify issues like this. So there's some diet choices that could make some changes to this scenario. If a person reduces the amount of carbohydrates that they're consuming, then it might remove some of those spikes in blood sugar that also creates a spike in insulin, and that can really create the sugar crash. So if someone can reduce the carbohydrates, maybe they're eating just lower carbohydrates or medium type carbohydrates like a sweet potato or a butternut squash or a yam, things that still give a person carbohydrates if they need them, but without creating such a huge spike and crash. It's in the crash that these troubles really get magnified. There's also other simple tests you can run at home. You could look at your urine pH, and if that urine pH is higher than like 6.2 or 6.3, that can be a sign that the insulin may be a little bit overpowerful, a little bit of a bully. And this is not a diagnostic thing again. It's not high urine pH that causes insulin to overreact. We just seem to see these things correlate a lot. So if you see a higher urine pH and you're having some of these problems, you might be able to take some steps to bring that urine pH down, and that could create some improvement for you in these symptoms that you're experiencing. And I talk about how to look at all that stuff in the book that you can get for free in the description as well. And another very common cause for vertigo and dizzy issues is adrenal fatigue. So when we lie down or we're sitting down and we're resting, the blood can kind of pool to different areas, and when we stand up, we really need that blood to get back to our head for everything to function correctly. And the adrenals are in charge of pushing that blood to the right places when we're moving or standing or something like that. So for a lot of people, the adrenals may be working harder than they really should be working, and we experience what's called adrenal fatigue. And if we can't get that blood to the head, then it can create these dizzy issues. Now, we really don't like to see people treating adrenals with all these adrenal formulas that are very popular today. We kind of feel like that's just trying to whip a tired horse, really. If the adrenals are fatigued, it's because they're working too hard, and they're usually working too hard for a reason. There's something going wrong in the body that is causing the body to call on these adrenals too often to, hey, can you help us out? We don't have all the resources we need to handle everything that's going on. So maybe a person has some type of chronic infection that the body has to use a lot of resources to deal with that infection, and so the body doesn't have everything it needs to function all the rest of the things it needs to do. Maybe there's an issue with those digestive malfunctions that we talked about, where a person can't really get all the minerals out of the food that they're eating. They're not getting all the nutrients out of the food that they're eating, so then it calls on these adrenals to kind of help out, and they get a little worn out. But there's a simple test that you can do at home, and you can basically take your blood pressure while you're lying down and then write that number down while you're lying down. And then before you stand up, start the machine again and then just stand up. Try to hold still so you don't juggle the machine around and make it error out. But then look at your blood pressure again as you're standing. And if that number goes down, that can be a sign that the adrenals are not working as hard as they should be. Again, this is not diagnostic. It's just something you can look at to get an idea, because the adrenals should be able to help that blood pressure go up a little bit when we stand up. So if that's not happening, that can be a sign that the adrenals need a little bit of help. So you can see there's a lot of things that could create this issue, and some of these people are dealing with multiple of these issues. A lot of times there's not enough minerals in the system, so that can create the dizzy spells. But the fact that there's not enough minerals and nutrients in the system can cause the adrenals to get overworked, and now we're dealing with that. So maybe some days a person's getting the dizzy spells for one reason, and another day they're getting it for a totally different reason. So you probably have some work to do. You see, I didn't give you a remedy to fix anything, because it's really about what's creating the problem for you. You're going to have to dig into this a little bit more. Now, if you want to understand this adrenal fatigue issue a little bit better, you can jump over right now and check out our video on understanding adrenal fatigue, where I dig a little bit more into how to do that test and steps you can take to improve the issue if you are dealing with adrenal fatigue. I can't wait to hear about your results.